25 years as a deep-sea diver, my partner returned from the depths, but not human. The ocean is a restless beast, teeming with secrets hidden beneath waves that crash like whispers against the shore. For years, I dove down into those haunting depths, caressing the cool water as my only companion. But nothing, not even the terrors of the abyss, prepared me for what awaited when my partner resurfaced. It wasn't just a matter of shock. It was a cosmic and mind-bending encounter that altered everything I thought I knew about life, death, and what lies lurking in the dark. On a foggy July morning, my partner and I slipped beneath the surface, our breaths synchronized, hearts pounding against our chests like wild drums. The sunlight danced above us, casting ghostly patterns into our watery world. It was peaceful, serene until it wasn't. Out of nowhere, strange shapes loomed in the shadows, moving like whispers of doom, winding through the wreckage of a ship lost to time. So many secrets buried there, stories begging to be told. I'd seen haunted souls before, but nothing could compare to what happened next. A glimmer of movement caught my eye stronger than any lure. As we drew closer, my heart raced with an unexplainable fear, or was it excitement? A silhouette swirled before me, distinctly human in form, but wrong. It distorted and shifted like smoke, rippling with uncertainty, pulling me in like a moth to a flame. My partner, keenly aware, glanced back at me, panic reflecting in their eyes. The instant was electric, heavy with the potential for calamity. But my curiosity, fierce and wild, pushed me forward. I had to know, could it be a survivor from another time, a piece of lost history? Before we continue, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. An explosion of bubbles erupted around us as the figure darted away. I could hardly breathe. What was that? A ghost? A creature birthed from nightmares? My mind raced, swirling with crisis. Panic gripped my throat like a vice. Just then, we heard a shriek that cut through the water, echoing in our ears. It was a sound of pure terror, leaving my partner frozen, eyes wide and searching. But I was entranced. Driven by adrenaline, I pressed on, desperate to uncover the truth, unaware of how close I was edging toward madness. The murky depths held mysteries we were never meant to realize. As I descended further, shadows danced, blending into the darkness like faded memories of fear manifesting into something tangible. What I discovered there, it went far beyond mere imagination. I could feel it closing in, the thing from below. Where was my partner? Had they succumbed to the eerie allure too? In that moment of dread, all I could think was, what would happen if it found me first? I was tangled in a web of unsettling thoughts, my breath hitching as unseen eyes watched from the dark void. What would I become if I confronted whatever haunted those restless waters? Would I return? Or remain forever submerged in the unknown? The truth was lurking just beneath the surface, waiting for the moment to strike. The water enveloped me like a thick, viscous shroud. My lungs screamed for air, but the need for answers drowned out every instinct. The screams were less than a memory now, echoing in my mind, bumping against the walls of my sanity. I pushed deeper, penetrating the soupy darkness, my heart thrumming erratically as I forced my gaze to search the void. The silhouette? It had fled, but not without leaving an imprint on my psyche. Unease pulsated between my ribs. I thought I could handle the unknown, but what I felt now was more than curiosity, it was obsession. That I caught a flicker of movement, a ripple in the shadows. Was it the figure again? Or something worse lurking just beyond my perception? Two pairs of eyes, two destinies converging in the madness of the deep. My thoughts raced to the worst-case scenarios. Then, through the opaque, milky haze, my partner's face emerged, ghostly and pale. Panic flooded my veins. Where was their gear? Their usual buoyancy and flow replaced by an unnatural stillness. I reached out instinctively, desperate to snap them from this trance, the growing realization that something had taken hold of them. Had they seen what I had? Or was it already too late? Get away from it. I screamed through the ocean's grip, but no sound traveled. My throat tightened. Fighting for control in these depths felt like clawing at sand. Each movement was futile, like grasping for air in a vacuum. My heart nearly stopped as I glanced behind me. The shadow had appeared again, more defined this time, stretching and weaving, pulsating in defiance of nature. It drew me in with an eerie grace. My limbs felt heavy and unwilling to obey. But I was too far in to turn back now. I swam, compelled by a sinister magnetism that I could hear the dark whispers, twisted echoes entwining within my head. Join us, they beckoned, seductive promises threading through my mind. It was as if the abyss sought to claim me, wrapping its cold arms around my sanity. The sensation surged through me, a desperate urge to let go, to surrender to the unfathomable depths. But strands of resistance tugged at me, reminders of light, of the world above. My partner, I couldn't leave them to whatever fate awaited. I fought against the mounting dread, swimming back, clawing through water that now felt like molasses. Wake up, I shouted, panic rising fiercely as I closed in on my partner. Their eyes remained vacant, fixed on nothing, yet I knew I had to reach them. Just a little closer, a little more. I gripped their arm. Don't you leave me. A jolt of energy surged through me as I yanked them backward. With sheer force, I pulled them free from the shadow's hold. But in that moment, a chilling realization struck like a thunderclap. My partner's gaze met mine, and it wasn't their own anymore. Something else had taken residence behind their eyes. Regret and terror settled in my gut, twisting my insides. As I scrambled for the surface, I felt the pull of the abyss increase, sending frenetic pulses through the water. An unseen hand tightened around my ankle, dragging me down. There was no silence, not now. Swim, I yelled, through my fear, through the rise of dread. Would we both escape? Would we both become lost to the depths? Just as the watery ceiling threatened to swallow us, an explosion of pressure hit, and then darkness. What had emerged from the depths was not just a glimpse into another world, but a harbinger of chaos. My heartbeat echoed in my ears, and I knew I was in a race against time. The ocean had awakened, and we were its prey. And in that thickening silence, one question lingered in my mind: what else lurked in that shadowed world, waiting to rise? The sudden darkness closed in on me like the heaviest blanket imaginable. I felt weightless for just a moment. Then the pressure around my chest surged. My lungs burned, instinctual panic clawing up my throat. I thrashed wildly, trying to claw my way back to light, to air, but the darkness was thick and oppressive. Hands gripped my arm, not the gentle touch of a friend, but a vice-like hold pulling me deeper. I glanced back. My partner's face was twisted, not just blank, but something else entirely. No longer human, no longer the person I knew. It was as if the water itself was taking control, occupying them in a cruel game of possession. No, don't you dare, I screamed, though my voice vanished into the void. I fought against the invisible current, a tidal torrent drawing me and my partner down away from hope, into a realm devoid of life and reason. Desperation surged within me, fueling my strength. I yanked my arm free, groping for anything solid. I felt the ripples of motion around me. The whispers became a chorus, an unsettling symphony wrapping around my mind. I had to push back. I had to resist the siren's call of whatever lives down here. Let us go, I mentally screamed at my partner, who lingered just beyond my reach, their vacant stare so full of horrifying emptiness. I swam upward with everything that was left. My muscles screamed, tension coiling in my veins as I kicked for the surface. Moments stretched like eternity, and each inch felt like miles. My body screamed for air. Every ounce of my will was focused on breaking free from this nightmare. When I finally burst through, gasping for that precious breath, I felt salvation touch my lungs. I turned back, desperate to haul my partner up into the light. But my heart plummeted. They were still beneath, lost in the shimmering darkness where light dared not venture. Come on, I shouted, choking on salt water as I peered over the surface. I felt the weight of dread settling in my stomach. I couldn't leave them. But what was I up against? The memories of that shadow danced, taunting me with their lingering presence. With a deep breath, I dove back in. The cold shock hit me like a fist. I squinted into the abyss, seeking any signs of my partner. The arms of the current wrapped around me again, pulling me deeper into the waiting maw. Shadows writhed, flickering just beyond my vision. My heart raced. Then, against the dark canvas, a flicker of movement caught my eye. There, I saw their silhouette, twisted and swimming almost fluidly into the darkening depths. My instincts shouted at me to turn back, but I pressed on. There was nothing left to lose that I outstretched my hand, fueled by a mixture of fear and stubborn determination. "Don't you leave me," I shouted again, but deep down, I could hear the distant whisper of something taunting me, something sinister lurking below. With each stroke, the underwater world seemed to pull apart. I was on the verge of an understanding, something deeper that had begun to unveil itself like peeling back layers of an ancient mystery. My hand closed around what I thought was my partner's wrist. But instead of warmth, I felt cold and slick skin. It wasn't he human. A jolt of panic shot through me. My breath quickened, and as I glanced down to meet those once familiar eyes, I didn't recognize the creature that stared back at me. Frozen, horror washed over me as realization unfurled the truth, clawing at my sanity, pulling me into the fray of madness. What had happened in the depths? What returned with me, shrouded in the shadows? And then, as if the ocean had a will of its own, a new shadow lurked in the periphery, and it wasn't he alone. The chase was far from over. All I could do was swim deeper. But would I find the partner I once knew, or had the ocean claimed them, body and soul? The grip of cold terror tightened around me, and my instincts screamed at me to let go. I pulled back, wrenching my hand free from that slick skin, but the darkness was relentless. I could hear the soft, sad sigh of the water, wrapping around me like a deceptive embrace. Heart hammering in my chest, I twisted in the water, scanning the void for anything, a hint, a glow, anything that resembled my partner. I couldn't accept that this was it. My eyes darted from shadow to shadow, desperate to catch a glimpse of the once familiar form. But only that thing remained, gliding effortlessly, its movements hauntingly graceful, yet utterly unnatural. My breath came faster, panic mixing with the salt water coating my lips. There was no warmth, no hint of recognition from those haunting eyes. I was not looking at my partner. I was staring into a deep, hollow abyss that seemed to stare back. "Where are you?" I whispered, fighting against the icy fingers creeping up my spine. As though responding to my plea, the shadows around me began to thrum and pulse. A strange energy vibrated through the water, causing the creatures lurking just out of sight to stir. I felt something sweep past my legs, a whisper of movement that made my skin crawl. It was not just my partner who had been claimed by the darkness. The ocean was alive with remnants of lost souls, and it was hungry. I kicked harder, fear fueling my resolve, but it wasn't enough. The darkness felt insatiable, pulling me down as if it were calling to me, urging me to join the maddening depths. Not today. I wouldn't go without a fight. Spitting out water, I fought against the tide, clawing my way toward the surface. My hand shot up, fingers brushing against a rough surface, an anchor, maybe an old wreck. I flicked my eyes towards the glimmering shadows, each more distorted than the last. But the moment I made contact with that anchor, a jolt surged through the water, and I was yanked backward. I could see it then, a mass of shadowy figures forming a circle around me, their intentions unclear. I could hear their echoes, muffled yet distinct: grief, longing, despair. My insides twisted. They were not just lost. They were in torment, bound to this watery grave. "No," I screamed, holding my breath as I pulled against the current one last time. But the creature, my partner's twisted reflection, was right there, inches from me. My heart pounded as I met its gaze once more, the desperate plea for escape mingling with a haunting promise of revenge. It drew closer, and I could feel the chilling breath of the abyss against my face. Too close. I willed myself to swim up, muscles burning with the effort, when suddenly a rush of bubbles exploded around me. The aquatic ghosts surged forward, and in that frenzied moment, the darkness enveloped me again. I felt the rush of sorrow hit, a wave that shattered my thoughts and left me gasping. What had I woken? What ancient price had I invoked? A distant scream erupted, echoing through the depths. Was it my partner? Or the lost souls clamoring for release? I wasn't sure if I could escape. Thrusting my hand against the elements, I fought against the oppressive force that sought to drag me in. I wasn't just battling for my life. I was fighting to uncover the truth behind this horror. Then I saw it. A flash of light, an opening, a way out. But what waited for me there? With every ounce of strength, I propelled myself toward the glow, heart thundering with dread. I could either find the answers hidden in the depths or lose everything to the dark forever. Would I discover what was lurking below, what had taken my partner? Or had I stumbled into something far worse? The moment of truth lay ahead, but what awaited me beyond the light? The light pulsed before me, growing brighter with each desperate stroke. I felt the pull of the darkness slacken, just for a moment, as if it sensed my determination. But I couldn't let my guard down. The shadows were all around, and just because I could see a way out didn't mean I wasn't still surrounded by danger. Something brushed against my side, soft and cold. I gasped, the water filling my mouth again. I fought back against the panic rising like bile, refocusing my gaze on the light. It was undeniable this was my chance. The shadows howled, their grief echoing in my mind. But I pushed it to the back. I'd done enough of that already. The glow was now blinding, and I felt its warmth seep into my bones as I surged forward, kicking with everything I had left. The dark figures swirled in a chaotic frenzy behind me, their whispers turning to shrieks of despair. I was splitting the veil between two worlds, and I could sense what lay beyond, a haunting promise of salvation or damnation. Then I reached it. I breached the surface in a burst of raw energy, thrashing and gulping in precious air. My eyes stung, but instinct drove me to glance behind me. The shadowy forms lingered, a distorted mass at the edge of light, their faces twisted in anguish. They seemed to scream, but what they wanted from me, I didn't know. I choked out the last of the water in my lungs, staggering onto the shore, the gritty sand scraping against my skin. Heart racing, I fell to the ground, gasping for breath, taking in the endless stretch of beach that lay before me. But as my eyes adjusted to the blinding sun, something heavy settled in my gut. Where was my partner? Slowly, I turned my head, scanning the shoreline. The tide came in, relentless and cold, washing over footprints that looked all too familiar. Then a dark figure emerged, stumbling from the water. My heart seized. It was my partner. But this wasn't the person I remembered. The water dripped from their skin, glistening in the sunlight. Yet there was something else, something wrong. Their eyes glowed unnaturally, the vacant stare devoid of any soul I recognized. And the skin, it shimmered with an oily sheen, almost liquid-like. They rasped, their voice an echo of the person I once knew. Help me, I staggered backward. The voice was sweet, melodic the way my partner used to be, but the words fell from lips that curled into an unnatural grin. There was intelligence there, but twisted. What happened to you? I gasped, my throat dry and aching. Find the truth. The smile widened, and with it came an unsettling sensation, the air thick with longing, as if they were both lost and longing to reach out, yet held back by something much darker. I felt sick. Just then, the shadows surged forward as if taunted by the sun. My partner flinched, shadows playing across their face, and for a brief moment, I caught a glimmer of fear in their eyes. They want to keep you, my partner said. You cannot trust me. This isn't me. I felt the cold tendrils of dread coil around my heart again. Was this the real my partner speaking? How much of the person I loved remained? As the darkness gathered, an eerie calm settled over the water. Somewhere beneath, the spirits stirred again, eager to reclaim what they'd lost. I could feel their insatiable hunger, and the air pulsed with a dark energy. What was I meant to do? Stay with what was left of my partner, or trust my instincts and run from whatever had returned? Time felt suspended, and the decision loomed ahead like a monstrous wave, ready to crash down. Then I caught sight of something in the waves, something I hadn't noted before, an object bobbing in the surf. My heart raced. It glinted like silver. Was it a sign? Taking one more look at my partner, torn between desire and fear, I realized I needed to act fast. The truth awaited me in the depths, and with it, an answer that could determine all of our fates. But what truth would it unveil? And would I still recognize what lay before me when I found it? I stood there, caught in a moment that stretched into eternity. My partner, no. The shell of what they used to be was a grotesque marionette manipulated by unseen strings. Their liquid eyes bore into mine with a hunger that sent shivers spiraling down my spine. Please, the voice beckoned, sweet, yet laced with malice. The tension in the air thickened, coiling around me like a vice. Find the truth, they repeated, but the urge to flee fought back the surge of hope. Could I trust this being, this echo of the person I had loved? It was a gamble, the kind that could cost me everything. That glimmering object bobbed in the surf, promising answers, but also danger. My heart raced with the pulse of uncertainty. Stay with me, the voice drifted on the breeze, weaving through my thoughts like a silken thread. You can help me, but what did I need saving from? I could sense the gathering storm of shadows. They leered, waiting for a moment of weakness. My partner's twisted grin sent a fresh wave of nausea through me. Fear clamped down hard, competing with a desire to believe. Just say the word, they urged, their voice sweet as honey, and I'll go with you. It was a promise, but one tainted by the darkness swirling just behind them. I wanted to reach out, grasp their hand, but fear clawed at my insides. What if all that was left of them was entangled with the darkness lurking just beneath the surface? I whispered, swallowed by worry. You're not the same. Their smile faltered, just for a heartbeat. Shadows cascaded over their face, morphing into terrifying shapes. This isn't over. A fierce resolve burned through the depths as the darkness around them stretched, almost wanting to pounce. The object caught my eye again, sparkling, drawing me with invisible threads. My instincts screamed for action. I had to know what secrets it held. Without another thought, I spun on my heel, hurling myself toward the water's edge, my heart pounding louder than the crashing waves. I plunged into the surf, the cold water embracing me like a second skin. I pushed deeper, the ocean swallowing me again, the surface a distant memory. The shadows above wriggled, hungry for a taste of despair, but they were nothing compared to the glint of silver that danced below me. With every frantic kick, I reached for what could either save or doom me. But the deeper I dove, the more the water seemed to thrum with life, thousands of entangled whispers thrumming just out of reach. I could feel something watching, eager. Finally, my fingers brushed against the object. It was a pendant, radiating a strange warmth, almost like a heartbeat. I yanked it free and kicked back towards the surface, the shadows swirling above me, shrieking, furious at my defiance. Panic coursed through me. I couldn't afford to look back. Not now. Breaking the surface at last, I gasped for air, holding the pendant tightly in my hand. The familiar figure of my partner loomed, horrified, their bodies shifting as if split between two existences. No, they screamed, their voice cracking. You need to leave. They will come for you. But why? My fingers curled around the pendant, its magic thrumming against my skin. The answer lay within this strange charm. But could it provide the clarity I sought, or merely pull me deeper into the abyss? In that moment, the shadows surged forward, snapping like wolves closing in on their prey. The urgency filled the air, thick with danger and dread. I had to act before they consumed whatever was left of my partner, before they dragged us both into the darkness. Would the truth save us or shatter what remained? The tide roared behind me, powerful and unrelenting. What questions would this pendant answer, and could I face the revelations it promised? The shadows lunged, and I understood. It was time to confront what lay ahead, even if it broke me. What horrors awaited in the embrace of the truth? Would I still recognize my partner when it was all laid bare? The shadows swirled closer, their gnashing teeth now a chorus of desperate howls. I could almost feel their breath on my skin, cold and dark, threatening to envelop me entirely. Gripping the pendant, I felt its warmth seep into my palm, a beacon in this swirling chaos. What was this thing? What power did it hold? I couldn't shake the gut feeling that the answers lay right there, hidden within its silver rays. Run, my partner pleaded, desperation cracking in their voice. Now, it felt like the last vestige of the person I knew flickered through the darkness, a spark of pure emotion that resonated with the years we had spent together. But the shadows were relentless, their forms shifting and lunging. Every ounce of my strength screamed to flee, yet I couldn't leave them again, not like this. My breath quickened and panic gnawed at my chest. I had to know what truth had they uncovered, what had turned my partner into this tortured reflection. The pendant pulsed with energy, and I could see faces in the tumult the souls of others it had consumed. Stricken with a heart-wrenching realization, I knew the pendant had a darker purpose. The courage that ignited in my chest felt fragile, like the last thread of hope on a stormy night. Was it a tool to save or a lure to destroy? You can't trust it, my partner shouted, twisting, their form wavering as shadows teetered at the edges of their being. They're coming for you to take you down into the depths. In an unthinking moment, I lifted the pendant higher, feeling its warmth flood through me, a wave washing over the dread. Instinctively drawn to its essence, I focused on the swirling mass of darkness. What do you want from us? I shouted, my voice slicing through the cacophony. The shadows hesitated, a ripple of confusion passing over them like a ripple on water. Then came a low rumbling laughter, echoing ominously. We want what is ours, the voice growled, a chorus of whispers blending. The truth and the vessel shall merge. All must dive or drown. A chill wound its way down my spine. What did they mean? Was I a vessel? Did this pendant mean I was meant to share their fate? Or was it a key to unlocking something deeper? Stay back, I shouted, firm yet trembling, brandishing the pendant like a sword guarding my heart. I felt my footing slip as the tides surged around my legs. It was now or never. I had to take action before the shadows ensnared me. Beneath the weight of their menacing presence, an idea sparked. Perhaps the pendant's warm light could fight against the shadows. Let the truth rise, I yelled, willing energy into the charm. You're a part of the dark, but I will not allow you to take me. The darkness recoiled, swirling backward with violent fury. My heart raced as I clung to the pendant, whispering a silent prayer that I was right. But my partner, caught in this tug of war, began to fade further into the shadows. Don't let them take me completely. A plea so raw wrung my heart. I couldn't lose them again. With sacred ferocity, I dove into the oncoming shadows, the pendant glowing fiercely. I felt forces attempting to grip me, slicing cold against my skin, but I pushed through. Whatever happened, I had to set my partner free. What would it cost to confront this darkness? What truth lay on the other side? As the shadows loomed, a singular question crystallized in my mind. Could I pull my partner back before it was too late, or would I be swallowed whole by the same fate? Desperation clutched me as I plunged deeper into the chaos, and just like that, I knew the darkest truth was still lurking just out of reach. Would I unravel it before I and my partner vanished forever? The moment I dove into the chaos, I felt the shadows wrap around me, cold tendrils curling around my limbs, trying to pull me down, deeper into their abyss. My pulse quickened, and for a second, I lost sight of everything but the swirling darkness and the faint, flickering light of the pendant in my hand. Hold on, I shouted, but my voice felt weak against the roar of the shadows. I could barely see my partner's silhouette anymore. Panic flooded my chest as I pressed onward, willing my body to push through the grasping darkness. I'm coming, just a little longer. The darkness pulsed with a life of its own, a swirling mass of despair that whispered secrets and regrets. I couldn't let it take my partner. The faces of the forgotten souls painted in anguish flashed within the shadows, their mute screams echoing in my mind. I had to act, or I would join their ranks. The pendant glowed brighter, its light weaving through the dark like an arrow, boldly defending me. You want to take us? I cried, my voice cracking but resolute. The warmth spread through my veins, pushing against the icy grip of the shadows. Suddenly, the shadows screamed, a cacophony of wails that shot through the air, and a force slammed into me, knocking me back. I gasped for breath. No, no, no. You want to win. My feet found traction, and I steadied myself. I reached deep inside myself, grasping for hope, for strength, and focused all my energy through the pendant. Show me the truth, I yelled, and the pendant flared with a blinding light. The shadows wavered, hesitating in the face of the brilliance emanating from the charm. I felt the darkness pull, but I stood firm, my resolve sharpening. I pulled my partner's form closer to me, reaching out with my free hand. I want to let you go. Their features, once so familiar, now blurred in and out, flickering between my partner and a horrifying facade filled with eerie shadows. Panic twisted my gut. They were slipping away. I'm right here, I bellowed, forcing my own fear aside. Fight it. You're stronger than this darkness. Slowly, my partner's face emerged from the shadows, their eyes wide, filled with confusion and fear. It's too late, please, save yourself. No, I screamed, desperation clawing at the edges of my sanity. We can make it. We have to escape. The shadows recoiled further as I thrummed with determination. A pulse shot through me, a vision of bright waters and sunlight flooded my mind. I could see the shore, safe and far away. But as I began to tug my partner closer, the shadows surged back in unity, howling in furious rage. Gritting my teeth, I pushed harder, summoning every ounce of will I had. If I must dive deeper, then so be it. Together. With one final surge, I plunged into the depths of the darkness, letting the pendant absorb me and my partner, praying it would be enough. The sensation was overwhelming. I felt both weightless and crushed. And then I saw it, the truth looming in the shadows. Its face emerging from the dark, a twisted grin spanning its ephemeral features. That it spoke, its voice slithering through the air like smoke. You think you can escape what you were destined for? Both of you are bound to me. The pendant glowed brighter in response, and all at once, a choice loomed large. Fight this older darkness, or potentially uncover even darker truths hidden deep within the abyss. As the shadows pulled tighter, I made my decision. I will not bow, I bellowed, the pendant's light enveloping me and my partner, but the darkness roared back, pushing us towards the brink of despair. What price would we pay in our battle against it? Would the truth set us free, or ignite a new horror entirely? The shadows thrashed around us, desperate to clutch at what they yearned to keep. The darkness screamed, wrapping around my throat, a suffocating shroud that threatened to silence my resistance. I could feel its rage and almost sentient force, angry with every flicker of the pendant's light. Listen to me, I shouted, my voice breaking through the chaotic shrieks. We're not alone in this. I squeezed my partner's hand tighter, but the once familiar warmth felt different now. The shadows twisted their features, revealing fragments of memories, the laughter we once shared, the simple moments that now felt so fragile. Fight it. You owe this to both of us. But the dark entity that surrounded us tugged at my partner with insidious whispers. You don't belong here, you never did. It taunted, its voice dripping with malice. Give in. It's easier now. I roared, the energy from the pendant surging in response. Brightness flooded the surrounding darkness, illuminating bits of the terrible abyss, a swirling maelstrom of trauma and regret. The faces of the souls trapped for eternity stared hungrily from every corner, their eyes pleading or angry, a distorted reflection of what could lie ahead. That I had to act. I reached out to the light, willing it to respond more fiercely, more urgently. Together, I commanded, feeling my heart race as I pulled my partner closer. The shadows pushed back, howling in anguish, but we were caught in the tide, fighting for our lives against something that thrived on despair. Then, with an explosion of light, the pendant surged, wrapping us in a cocoon of brilliance. The shadows recoiled for a moment, screeching in horror, a surprise revelation as my vision sharpened. In that bright, glaring moment, I caught a glimpse of a large, swirling vortex behind it, a sanctuary that beckoned us with its allure. Look, I urged, we can escape. But doubt seized me as I observed my partner's eyes still clouded with hopelessness. I promise I won't let you go. The dark entity let out a thunderous laugh, vibrating through the depths. Do you think you can save them? It gestured mockingly, its shadowy fingers curling and twisting. They are already mine. Each pulse of the pendant sent waves of energy flowing through me, battling against the darkness's grip. You're wrong, I shouted. Love is stronger than fear. With every ounce of power I channeled, my partner's features began to sharpen. I see you, they whispered, then screamed, no? Fight this. I'm here. I can't lose you together. I screamed back. We fight, and we will win. Just as we began to pull from the shadow's grasp, a deafening roar erupted as the entity retaliated, coiling around us viciously. Pain shot like fire through my chest, but I leaned into it, pushing harder against the overwhelming darkness. My pendant burned with intensity, almost overwhelming me, as I took one more deep breath. We break free, I yelled, propelling myself forward. A blinding flash illuminated the abyss. The shadows shrieked, a cacophony that pierced through the depths, as if shattering glass. I felt the pull of the vortex, but the scream of my partner echoed louder. Wait, they cried, clarity dawning in their eyes. What if it's lying? What if a sudden burst of cold wind struck me, the shadows vibrating with fury, tearing at my clothing, gnashing their teeth? Not now, I shouted in response, but doubt simmered behind my words. We have to decide, stay and fight, or reach for the light. The choice hung palpably in the air, the shadows crescendoing, and for the first time, uncertainty gripped my chest. What happens when truth meets fear? Would we break through, or would we fall deeper into darkness? I felt the weight of the decision bearing down as I readied myself for one last push. Light and darkness collided in a furious dance. I fought with everything I had, destiny tugging me violently in two different directions. The pendant surged with energy, illuminating the oppressive shadows, revealing glimpses of the faces that once were lost to despair, echoing in eternal pain. Shudders racked my body as I strained against the howls that threatened to consume me. My partner, no, the apparition of them hovered in the void, their form flickering like a dying flame. I could barely recognize those familiar features, their essence layered with shadows, haunted by torment. I reached out, desperation coursing through my veins. Remember us, I pleaded, each word laced with hope and fear. Remember how we fought to stay together? The pendant flared again, happiness and grief mingling in a frantic embrace. Push, I yelled, my determination drowning out the shadow's poisonous chants. We can find the truth, the real truth beneath this illusion. But something in their gaze faltered. What if this is the truth? My partner's voice trembled, laced with both anguish and weariness. What if I never truly existed? What if this darkness is all that is left? No, I bellowed, heart racing. Fight it with me. Love is stronger than this darkness. We were bonded through fire and wrath. We forged our memories against all odds. That bond is real. The shadows erupted in defiance, howling scratches of chaos as I poured my soul into that radiant pendant, willing the truth to surface, willing my partner to see. Their eyes blinked, shifting between recognition and despair as the darkness clawed at them. I want to trust you. Then trust me, I screamed, feeling my grip tighten around their hand, pulling against the intertwining shadows as I fought the tide. Suddenly, my vision sharpened. I could see everything, the truth of the abyss swirling around us like a roiling ocean, full of lost souls yearning for release. But their haunted faces urged me forward. I could not waver. Stand with me, I roared, forcing the light of the pendant to pierce through the gathering storm of hopelessness. Stand against this. With added urgency, I felt their hands squeezing slightly tighter, a flicker of recognition sparking in their eyes. Together, yes, I bellowed. Together. So, I poured everything I had into the pendant, igniting its brilliance until the shadows seemed to scream. Light spilled from it, illuminating the dark corners of our reality, revealing the ocean depths filled with spiraling memories and desperate echoes. The shadows shrieked in anger, tightening their grip. You cannot resist, taunted the dark presence. You're ours. No, I shouted defiantly, channeling every ounce of courage and love within me. We are not yours. In that deep moment, the pendant flared to life. Once again, I outlined our memories with the fiery brilliance of the light, moments we had cherished, the laughter, the whispers, the love that had always triumphed against the struggles of life, against the darkness. I felt it rising within me, an unyielding force. Feel it, I screamed at my partner, locking our resolve together. Feel every piece of us, every heartache, every joy. Let it drown out the shadows. A surge of energy erupted, breaking through the oppressive hold of the darkness, its feral screams merging into a cacophony of resignation. My partner's form shimmered, flickering between solid and shadow. I see, they announced, their voice wavering as clarity overtook confusion. I feel it. The truth is real, and it's in us. Yes, I shouted, my heart pounding against the onslaught. Now let us rise. We surged upwards together, breaking free from the suffocating clutches of despair. The light enveloped us. The shadows below faded to whispers, retreating like nightmares dispersing before dawn's embrace. The pendant blazed fiercely as reality snapped into focus. As we shot towards the surface, The ocean around us broke wide open. Light filtered through the water, illuminating our path like a swirling galaxy calling us home. I pushed harder, gripping my partner tightly, willing them to break. Free completely, we shattered the surface, gasping, choking on air and sunlight, collapsing onto the warm sand. I looked back at the ocean, shifting and restless, but the shadows had receded, their screams now distant echoes woven into the surf. Lying on the shore, I felt the warmth of the sun beat down upon our damp bodies, washing away the remnants of the shadows. My heart thundered in my chest. And yet, as I turned to my partner, I saw a flicker of uncertainty still lingering in their liquid gaze. Is it really over? They asked, the ghost of doubt inching back. I smiled, though my chest tightened with uncertainty. We'll face whatever comes, together. And in that moment, I saw them flare with hope, a spark igniting against the shadows of what once could have been. The sun stood in stark contrast against the dark depths we had traversed, and I knew we could rebuild. Together, we would find the truth and reclaim our lives from the darkness that sought to swallow us whole. But more than that, we would treasure the light we had fought to hold on to, a light that now shimmered against all that surrounded us, promising a future written not just in pain, but victory. The ocean may always hold its secrets, but we would be ready for anything it chose to unleash. Adventure awaited, and we were alive to welcome it. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support and smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Your voice matters. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your loyalty fuels the journey forward.